Okay, before we get started, I want you to know that I wash my hands several times during the video, but most of the time it is not included in the clips. But I also want you to know that when you are seasoning your food, make sure that at the end you wipe down any bottles that you have used, and I usually do that with disinfectant wipes. So that's just a little tip from me to you. Here we go. Okay, so I just went grocery shopping. I got chicken, squash, carrots, potatoes, onions, bell pepper. And so it came to, what is that? $36.99. Okay? So I'm gonna make some Greek chicken today, my style, but you gotta watch me do it. This is my kitchen. It is cluttered and junky, so if you are looking for something aesthetically pleasing, you better mosey on to the next video. Yep, so I'm just washing my chicken. Water, you can add a little bit of vinegar to it. And not everyone washes their chicken, so it's up to you. It is your preference, but it is how I was raised. You can trim the chicken fat off. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. It just depends. So, I'm not a trained chef. I just cook at home for myself and my family. So what we're going to do here is well, I'm just going to start slicing this chicken. But it's not something that I like to do. So instead of just slicing everything like in a small pieces, what I normally do is I will just cut it like that. And then, that's just to make it a little bit small. I get, let's see. What I normally do is I use my scissors. That is like so much easier for me to just cut my chicken in a little bitty pieces. And that's less stress. Some people probably will say that's not the right way, that's not the right way. But you know what? I've never had anybody complain about my Greek chicken. And nobody has ever said, oh, how do you cut your chicken? Nobody's ever said that. Okay. Now I've got my chicken cut up. I've drained it. I'm going to pour it there. And I used to always wonder why the chicken at the Chinese restaurant was so tender. And I finally asked someone. And they said the secret ingredient is actually baking soda. So I learned to put baking soda inside my chicken. Not a lot, just a little bit. You just do it like this. And you massage it in there. It's not too much. Maybe like, for this much chicken, probably like a tablespoon or less. And then you're going to let it sit like that for about 20 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes has passed, and the meat is normally tender by then. So now what I'm gonna do, I just use regular iodized salt. You know, you have to season according to your taste. I honestly cannot tell you how much to put in. I just eyeball my salt, and I just know how much to put in. All right. It's pepper. One thing about pepper, a little bit goes a long way. But once you start to see the black flicks, you probably got enough pepper in this. Alright, now, this is Greek. chicken. So you need the Italian seasoning. You have to have a good bit of that to get the flavor. So Italian seasoning has thyme, basil, rosemary, savory, oregano, and maybe some other stuff in it. So you're gonna go pretty heavy on that. It's not something that you can just put in lightly and think that you're gonna get the flavor. You gotta be able to see that. So you gotta mix it with your hands. So if you use gloves while you're cooking, you're definitely gonna get some type of cross-contamination. I would not tell anyone to use gloves while they're cooking unless it's just to cut something up, because you're going to have to constantly throw away gloves to prevent that cross-contamination. All right. I have some garlic that I've let dry out a little bit. Once again, I love to use my scissors. So scissors are like my best friend in the kitchen. And so I'll just cut it up really, really small because it's going to be sauteed on top of the griddle. I don't need a lot of garlic. Actually, a lot of garlic, it triggers me in some kind of way. So, now, so I'm going to mix everything at once. Some people do this, some people don't. But I have red and yellow onions. Okay? And that's going to go in there. Okay, so I'm going to add some bell pepper. I may add a little bit more bell pepper later. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. And this is probably not usually a part of the Greek traditional Greek chicken. I put squash in there. Not too much. But, you know, just enough to give it some more color. When I do that, now I'm going to add a little bit more seasonings on top. Not too much, because a lot of this actually does have flavor. That was salt. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper there. And I'll add a little tiny bit of oregano. Alright. Now, like I said, I love to just mix everything up together. You don't have to do as much now, because everything is it's ready to go. Now, I'm gonna heat up the griddle, and we're done. Oh. One more step. Olive oil. So it's not gonna work too good without that olive oil. You gotta put some. That's good. I would say for this amount of chicken, put about a half a cup of olive oil. I know how much I put in because I cook it all the time. And then you're going to massage it in there. Okay. Now that's gonna sit. Okay, so this is an old griddle that I ordered from Amazon. I think I paid like $75 for it. It's not too big. I have it right on top of my stove. And what I do is, I use this griddle so much. For the price that I paid, I really overused it, so I probably need to get a new one very soon. So, I have this spray bottle that I put olive oil in. And I spray my griddle a little bit first. And then I kind of brush it back and forth to spread it out. Okay? I have this griddle set on 350. Sometimes I decrease it, sometimes I don't. But you wait until that griddle gets hot. Try to wait until it gets hot. I'm not going to turn on my hood today because you're watching the video. So I will probably open a little window. But once again, we're going to spread this out. We're going to layer it. Get it out. ready. Make sure your chicken is touching that grill. Okay? Don't put too much on the grill or your food will cook very, very unevenly. Then you're gonna let that cook. Okay. So that's been going on now for about probably 4 to 5 minutes. And I'm gonna start lifting it over, flipping it over. Anything you want. It doesn't matter what you flip it over. You can flip it over with a fork, spatula, or spoon. It really doesn't matter. I try not to use metal on metal most of the time because all kind of things may be on these products that we buy. Like coating. I don't know if they use it. See how nice that's cooking? It's really good. So, we're just gonna make sure there's no pink. Now, a little trick that I did learn, just from talking to different people and watching people cook at hotels. If you want to get a little bit more tender after you got cooked, or if you feel like it's not cooked all the way, what you can do, you can separate it a little bit, take one of these, put over there. And it's just like it's steaming it a little bit. I love to do that sometimes just to be double sure about it. So when we come back, we're going to make sure everything is fully cooked and plated. And that will be our meal for today.